All right, so today I want to talk a little bit more about a topic that I've talked a lot about, but again, you got, new viewers, and it's always good to update this kind of stuff. And today I want to talk about immigration, and I think immigration now is as important as ever, and specifically immigration and the fact that we really don't need it right now. And for many reasons. I mean, number one, the left always comes from the side of, oh, the majority of people support this. Therefore, let's do it. Like, they always make that argument when it comes to gun control, right? Even though the vast majority of people have no idea what the existing gun laws are, they can't even tell you the difference between, an assault rifle and a semi-automatic rifle. They know nothing, right? Like, it's asking the average person about gun control is like asking a 5-year-old about, physics, right? Like, it's just insane. But nonetheless, they say, oh, the majority of people support it, therefore we should do it, right? Okay, well, the vast majority of people support decreasing immigration, therefore we should do it, right? But oh, no, 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 right? Again, so they're just pure hypocrites. Not to mention too, the average person is a lot more capable of decide, having a reasonable opinion on something like this than they do something like gun control, right? Because there's a lot more to know when it comes to gun control. And that's the thing, right? Like, I'd be perfectly fine with one of those gun control polls if they actually had, to be eligible to be in the poll, you actually had to demonstrate a basic knowledge of firearms law and firearm knowledge, like even like a most basic of basic knowledge, right? But they never do that, right? Like, they never do that. And but again, you don't really need a lot of knowledge to know about this kind of stuff. Why? Because it's very simple. Like, it's very simple that um, there's no reason to need to bring in all these immigrants. And again, it's not because you hate immigration. And like I said, just to sum up my position on immigration, I'm perfectly fine with immigration under two main points. Number one being unemployment is very low. I would say probably below 4%. I don't want to make that number too high, because the minute you do, the government, and that's the other thing too, the government can easily mess with those numbers. That's why it has to be a very low number. And number two, the immigrants that are coming in are net contributors to the economy, i.e., they're actually working and paying taxes, and ideally not, a bunch of people working minimum wage jobs, right? Like, they actually need to, especially, like, I would say that the immigrants that we should be really trying to get is the entrepreneurs that want to start businesses. The problem with that, and here's the other thing about immigration that people never bring up, that's a good counterpoint to that, is that um, taking the most intelligent people out of these third world countries only hurts those third world countries. And that's another problem with immigration, and another reason why it should be very low, right? Like, it should be very low, in that we don't want to take the most intelligent people out of these countries, because we want to leave them there so they can help develop whatever country they're from, right? Because, like it or not, we can't bring everybody into the West. That's not how, it's not possible. Now, again, the left genuinely does believe that. They probably won't admit it, because their position on immigration is unlimited immigration, like it really is. And the way that you know that is that they never support any reasonable restriction on immigration whatsoever. They'll never admit to wanting unlimited immigration. Well, some of them will. The more far lefties usually will, but most of them won't. And the reason that they don't do that is largely because it's a crazy idea, right? But the reason they believe it isn't that they're crazy. I mean, they are in a sense, but not in the way you think. They're crazy because they genuinely believe that you can just print more money, right? You can just tax people more. You can just print money and tax people more. Anything you need to pay for, it doesn't matter how much it is, you can just print more and tax more, right? But they're too ignorant to realize that that won't work, right? Like, that won't work. You print more money, you just devalue your currency. Not to mention too, you really don't improve things. You really just increase the cost of goods and services proportionally to the amount of money you print. So you really don't actually get anywhere. And raising taxes just makes people. I mean, number one, it makes them less productive. Number two, it makes them less likely to want to earn more. And number three, they just leave, a lot of them. Or, I mean, the other option too is they just find ways around the taxes, right? So that's something else to bring up too, is that when you increase taxes, there's no guarantee you're going to increase revenue. And that's another thing that the left gets definitively wrong. is that they believe if you increase taxes, you will increase revenue proportionally to the amount you increase taxes, and that's just not true. It's just not true, especially when taxes already are too high, right? It's not like we have a flat tax of 10% with no carbon tax, no property taxes, no GST, no HST. Like, yeah, I mean, if we had that, maybe I would at least understand I would still disagree with it, but I at least understand where they're coming from. But, the average Canadian family already pays what, like 42, 43% of their money or of their income on taxes. Again, that's way too much. Like, that number should be, I think even half that amount is still too much. Like, that number should be probably like 10%. Like, the vast majority, the government services should be just providing the absolute bare minimum to get by, like the absolute bare minimum. But again, when it comes back to immigration, this is a very key issue that more people need to be talking about. Now, why is it? Is that immigration is one of the main reasons why the cost of housing has gone up so much recently. It's also one of the main reasons why median incomes haven't gone up very over the last decade or two, actually. But and this is something that even Bernie Sanders in 2016 was bringing up. Bernie Sanders, I mean, he changed his mind this time around because he sold out to the far left and the establishment all in one, basically. But Bernie Sanders said in 2016 that we can't have mass immigration because it will drive down wages. Bernie Sanders said that. You can look that up. And the other thing too, I really can't stand all the people like, oh, where's your evidence for your claims? Well, try spend 2 minutes Googling stuff, right? Like these people are so stupid, it's not even funny. But anyway, getting back to the main point, immigration will drive down wages. Now, why is that? Um, well, here's the other thing. If the economy was actually growing at a steady rate, yeah, immigration wouldn't drive down wages that much. But the fact that the economy really isn't growing, and over the last like year, it literally has had like no growth in Canada. Even before that, it was very little. So again, um, the problem being is that there's only a set amount of jobs available, right? And when you add in the existing population and immigration on top of that, the supply is much higher. The supply of jobs is much higher than the demand can actually provide, right? So this is the problem, that when there's hundreds of people applying for every job, employers can be picky about who they hire. And one of the things that they can be picky about is, hey, we're gonna we can pay an immigrant $15 an hour, and you want 20 to do the job. We're going to hire the immigrant, right? And that's the problem. And maybe it's even the immigrant who wants $20. It doesn't matter. The problem is that if there's massive amounts of people wanting every job, the employers can be a lot more picky. If there's only a handful of people fighting for every job, the employers don't have the luxury of being as picky, right? And that's the problem nowadays. And that's the other reason too. The real reason why the system is rigged in the favor of the rich is that not because, oh, they're the corporate cronyism and, oh, they're not taxing them enough. Not any of that crap. It's because the system's set up to help them, and both sides support it too. This is the other thing I can't stand, is that you have these leftists that actually pretend like the NDP provincially, or the Liberals federally actually are doing anything to fix this kind of stuff. Like, no, they just change. Like, it's when it's the right, they're buddy buddy with the oil companies, and when it's the left, they're buddy buddy with the unions, and got the Liberals with SNC and we, and it's the exact same thing, right? Like, the left just hates oil companies because they're climate alarmists, and that's why they go after the oil companies, right? So again, it's just absolute insanity, I guess, if you ask me. But again, that's something I wanted to bring up. That again, if Canada actually was a democracy, we would be cutting immigration. But because we're really not, we're only a democracy in name only. Yeah, we're never going to do it. I mean, if anything, my guess, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, mark my words, the Liberals, they'll come out at some point, coming out of this whole plandemic thing, that, oh, the key to getting the economy back and going is to increase immigration. Watch, mark my words. I would bet money that they will come out with something like this within the next 6 months to a year. So anyway, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Check me out on Twitter, BitChute, and Parler. Make sure you follow me on those other platforms. All those links are in the description, so you can find them all there.